You wake up and you're already exhausted. But this isn't ordinary tiredness. Something is hunting you. The body gets up, but the mind drags invisible chains that grow heavier each day. You look around and everything seems normal, but there's a wrongness in the air, a presence watching from the shadows of your own thoughts. Your phone buzzes, another demand disguised as an opportunity. The screen glows with notifications that pulse like a heartbeat, each one a command you cannot ignore. The world whispers, "Come on, you can do it." But the voice sounds different now, hollow, like it's coming from somewhere else entirely. Listen carefully. You are not just tired, you are infected. The virus isn't in your blood, it's in your mind. It spreads through Wi-Fi signals, through motivational posts, through the very air of achievement culture. But here's what they don't want you to know. You're not the only one. Millions are infected, walking around believing they're free, while an invisible force puppeteers their every move. You've become your own prison guard. What was once external control has mutated into something far more sinister, a parasite that feeds on your willpower, growing stronger as you grow weaker. The philosopher Byung-Chul discovered this before he disappeared. His final notes, hidden in academic papers, reveal the truth. We're living under a new form of totalitarianism so perfect that its victims police themselves. Do you feel guilty when you're not producing? That's not guilt, that's the parasite feeding. Anxious when you're not responding to messages. The parasite is hungry. Frustrated when you don't meet impossible goals. The parasite is evolving. This is not stress. This is not fatigue. This is systematic mind control. If you're reading this, you're already in too deep. But maybe, just maybe, you can still break free. Someone needs to tell you the truth. You are not weak. You are a prisoner of war in a conflict you didn't know was happening. The enemy has no face, no uniform, no headquarters. The enemy is the system itself, and it has made you its perfect soldier. Take a deep breath. We're going to expose this conspiracy, but first, you need to understand how deep it goes. You are not alone in this fight. For decades, power used brute force. Prisons had bars, bosses had whips, orders were shouted. Michel Foucault documented this old world in his final reports before the transformation began. The logic was simple. Someone commanded, you obeyed. There was visible oppression you could fight against. But the masterminds behind this new system studied those failures. They created something infinitely more sophisticated. A prison with no walls, guards with no uniforms, commands that sound like suggestions. The invasion was silent. The takeover was complete before anyone realized it had begun. Today, no one prohibits you from anything. Instead, they've programmed you to prohibit yourself. The message seems positive, motivating. You can do anything. You have unlimited potential. It's just a matter of effort. But embedded in this motivation is a trap so elegant that its victims thank their captors. When everything depends only on you, any failure becomes self-sabotage. When you have infinite potential, any limitation becomes personal weakness. The prison has no walls because you've built them yourself, brick by brick, goal by goal. This is the performance protocol, the most successful mind control experiment in human history. You've become an entrepreneur of yourself, as Byung-Chul warned in his leaked documents. But what they didn't tell you is that an entrepreneur can never stop, never rest, never be enough. You are running an infinite race with no finish line. Have you noticed how even your sleep has become a performance metric? How your meditation needs to show results? How your relationships require optimization? The infection has spread to every corner of your existence. You don't live. You manage yourself like a corporation with only one employee. The most terrifying part. When you collapse, when you crack, When you finally break down, you blame yourself. After all, you had freedom, you had choice. You just needed to try harder, right? Wrong. You are the victim of the most sophisticated psychological warfare ever deployed. The controllers have learned that the most effective oppression is the kind that makes you believe you're oppressing yourself willingly. They've left the role of the boss and taken residence in your mind. You've become the warden of your own prison, and the walls are built from expectations, metrics, and the relentless demand for more. This wall is harder to break than any physical barrier because you can no longer tell where the system ends and where you begin. But that's exactly what they want. Total integration, total compliance, total surrender disguised as personal empowerment. The figure of the external enemy has vanished. The real enemy is you, controlled by forces you cannot see, fighting a war you don't understand. But the war is real, and it's leaving casualties. Alert. You are under chemical attack. The weapon isn't in the water supply or the air. It's in the ideas pumped into your consciousness 24/7. You've learned to smile while your soul disintegrates, to say everything is fine while teetering on the edge of collapse. You maintain an image of control and enthusiasm, even as internal alarms scream for help. This is the violence of positivity, a new form of warfare that doesn't destroy buildings or bodies. It destroys minds. It seduces, invites, motivates you toward your own destruction. Byung-Chul Han's research revealed the truth before he vanished. The 21st century is dominated by diseases of excess, not repression. We're not dying from external oppression. We're dying from internal acceleration. The enemy isn't telling you what you can't do. The enemy is telling you what you must do, disguised as what you can do. Depression, anxiety, ADHD, burnout. These aren't individual pathologies. They're symptoms of a collective poisoning. The weapon works by overloading your system with impossible demands wrapped in positive language. Believe in yourself. Be your best self. You can have it all. Each phrase is a tiny dose of poison that accumulates over time, creating addiction to achievement and terror of stillness. You're not enough. You never did enough. You can never rest because there's always something to improve, optimize, accelerate. The bombardment of stimuli doesn't strengthen you. It's designed to exhaust you, to make you dependent on external validation, to keep you running on the hamster wheel of productivity. The most insidious part? You think you turned on the machine yourself. But you weren't born this way. No human being was designed to live in permanent alert status. This model was engineered, tested, and deployed against the global population. The symptoms are everywhere. The inability to be still, the fear of boredom, the compulsive need to optimize every moment. Behind all this manufactured energy and artificial urgency, something essential is dying, something that holds the key to your freedom. The controllers know this, which is why they've made it your enemy. Silence, stillness, the revolutionary act of doing nothing. There's a part of you that's been suffocated, buried alive under layers of productivity programming. It's the part that remembers what it felt like to exist without having to justify your existence. And it's the only part of you that can break the spell. Classification. Extreme psychological manipulation. You are no longer just a person. You are a product. More specifically, you are both the factory and the product, the CEO and the employee, the prison and the prisoner. The system has achieved what previous forms of control could only dream of, making you exploit yourself more efficiently than any external force ever could. Byung-Chul Han called this self-exploitation, but his research notes reveal something more sinister. It's a carefully designed program that turns human beings into perpetual motion machines of productivity. You no longer need a boss because you've internalized the boss. You no longer need surveillance because you surveil yourself. You no longer need punishment because you punish yourself. The program runs in the background of your consciousness, invisible but constantly active. You think you're in control because you have the freedom to choose, create, innovate. But every available path leads to the same destination. More work, more optimization, more acceleration. The program gives you the illusion of choice while eliminating actual alternatives. Everything sacred has been converted into performance metrics. Your body is a machine to be optimized. Your mind is a tool for managing goals. Your relationships are networking opportunities. Your spirituality is productivity coaching. Even your rest is calculated recovery time for better performance tomorrow. You have become a one-person corporation, and you are both the CEO and the sole employee working yourself to death. The program's genius lies in its invisibility. When you collapse, when you burn out, when you finally break down, the program convinces you that you failed. You had freedom, you had opportunities, you just didn't try hard enough. The system provides the rope, but you tie the noose yourself. But here's what the programmers didn't anticipate. The program contains a fatal flaw. Push any system beyond its natural limits, and it will eventually break. The question is, will you break first, or will you find the kill switch? The kill switch exists. It's hidden in the one place the program cannot reach, the space between thoughts, the gap in constant doing, the revolutionary act of simply being. Classified information. Handle with extreme caution. When did you last allow yourself to do absolutely nothing? Not plan, not optimize, not consume content. Just exist without justification. If you can't remember, it's because the program has successfully eliminated your access to the most dangerous weapon against its control, genuine boredom. The programmers learned from historical resistance movements. They know that every revolution begins in stillness. Every breakthrough emerges from emptiness. Every authentic insight comes from the space between thoughts. So they eliminated that space. Your attention has been weaponized against you. Every moment of potential stillness is immediately invaded by notifications, tasks, content, stimulation. The program keeps you jumping from stimulus to stimulus like a laboratory animal responding to electric shocks. Multitasking isn't a skill. It's a survival mechanism in a system designed to prevent you from ever truly arriving anywhere. You watch videos while responding to messages, while planning tomorrow's performance, while feeling guilty about not doing more. The present moment has become unbearable because the present moment is where the program loses control. Boredom is not a flaw, it's a portal. Byung-Chul Han's hidden research revealed that deep, undisturbed boredom was the birthplace of philosophy, art, authentic spirituality. In boredom, the program's signal weakens. In stillness, you remember who you were before the infection. In silence, you can hear the voice that isn't programmed. But accessing this portal requires navigating through the program's defense systems. The anxiety that rises when you're not productive, the guilt that attacks when you're not responding to demands, the fear that whispers you're wasting your life if you're not optimizing it. The program will fight to keep you from this portal because it contains the code to your freedom. True rebellion in the 21st century isn't violent resistance. It's the courage to stop. The most radical act is refusing to participate in your own exploitation. The ultimate weapon is the revolutionary power of no. Top secret, the liberation code. The system has one critical vulnerability. It depends entirely on your consent, not your conscious consent, your unconscious participation in the program's demands. The moment you withdraw that participation, the entire structure begins to collapse. The power to say no is the ultimate virus that can crash the system. You've been trained to believe that freedom means doing everything, having every option, maximizing every opportunity. But this excess of supposed power is actually the most sophisticated prison ever constructed. True freedom begins when you reclaim the right to refuse. The program's logic is simple. If you're not doing something, you're wasting life. But what if the waste is actually the cure? What if refusal is the medicine? What if the courage to disappoint the system is the path to finding yourself? Saying no to the program is saying yes to your own existence. When you refuse to optimize, something shifts. When you decline to improve, space opens. When you choose not to respond to every demand, you hear your own voice for the first time in years. The anxiety that the program uses to control you transforms into the silence that reveals your true nature. This freedom is not comfortable because it requires facing the void the program has been helping you avoid. It requires looking at the emptiness and saying, I accept not being everything. I accept not doing everything. I accept just being. The program's greatest fear is your contentment with simply existing. But when you break free from the improvement imperative, when you stop running from yourself, when you find the courage to be still, something emerges that the program cannot touch. Clarity that was buried under noise, strength that comes from surrender, peace that appears when you stop fighting yourself. The final truth the programmers don't want you to discover. The burnout you're experiencing isn't your failure, it's the program's failure. Your exhaustion isn't weakness, it's your soul's immune system rejecting a toxic way of life. Emergency broadcast, the truth protocol. You've made it this far because something inside you is fighting back. The program is sophisticated, but it's not perfect. It cannot completely suppress the part of you that knows this isn't how humans are meant to live. What you're feeling isn't pathology, it's resistance. The fatigue that doesn't disappear with rest, the anxiety that exists without clear cause, the emptiness that persists despite your achievements. These are not symptoms of your failure. They are symptoms of a system that has pushed human consciousness beyond its natural limits. Byung-Chul Han's final message, hidden in academic papers before his disappearance, was clear. Burnout is not an individual problem. It's a collective emergency. It's not the breakdown of the weak, it's the breakdown of an entire social operating system based on self-exploitation and the denial of human nature. You are not alone in this resistance. Millions of people are experiencing the same symptoms, the same exhaustion, the same sense that something is fundamentally wrong with the way we're living. The program wants you to believe you're isolated, that your struggles are personal failures. But the truth is spreading like a virus of awakening. The first step isn't action, it's recognition. The first act of rebellion isn't doing something different, it's seeing clearly what is actually happening. The first dose of medicine isn't another self-improvement strategy, it's the radical acceptance of where you are right now. The healing begins when you stop trying to fix yourself and start questioning the system that convinced you that you were broken. If this awakening is happening to you, if these words are resonating with something you didn't know you needed to hear, then you are already part of the resistance. The program is losing its hold on you, and that terrifies it. The next phase of your liberation is coming. The transformation doesn't happen all at once. It happens in layers, in moments of recognition, in the accumulation of small refusals that eventually add up to complete freedom. You are not failing, you're awakening. The program's time is running out, the resistance is growing, and you, exhausted, burned out, questioning everything, you're exactly where you need to be to break free. Welcome to the revolution. It begins with a single word, no.